Welcome to the MFIP overview. Please make sure to have a pen and paper available during this PowerPoint, as there will be resources and websites to write down for future use. What is MFIP? MFIP is Minnesota's family investment program that helps low-income families with children to economic stability through work. It is here to encourage work early in order to build up job skills, experience, and work history. MFIP is primarily a work program. MFIP expects, supports, and rewards work. The goal of MFIP is to enable people to retain and maintain employment, increase their earned income, prevent long-term dependence on MFIP, and move families out of poverty. The MFIP grant includes cash, food assistance, and employment services. A separate application is needed for childcare and medical benefits. You are able to either apply online for those separate benefits or contact your financial worker at the county if you need assistance with applying. MFIP participants, including both parents in a two-parent family, need to work or job search while on MFIP. We know it costs money to find and keep a job. MFIP has funds called support services. These are limited funds, but some examples of support services that are available are gas cards or fuel vouchers, assistance with minor car repairs, assistance with obtaining your driver's permit or your license, fees for a GED testing, money for haircuts or interview clothing. There are a lot of different options. I suggest just asking your employment specialist if assistance is needed in any of these areas. MFIP does have timelines. Currently, there is a 60-month time limit in Minnesota that participants can be eligible for MFIP. The 60-month time limit is per caregiver receiving MFIP. The months do not have to be in a row. Your cash grant counts towards the time limit. However, if you are receiving just food support, this does not count towards your 60-month time limit. Going to work increases the chances of getting off of MFIP completely and or reducing the assistance to just the food portion only. Extensions are based on individual cases and not a guarantee. Extensions are for any months you may need cash assistance after the 60-month time limit has been exhausted. Ways to stop the clock. Our participant may request to opt out of cash while on MFIP. To do this, you will need to contact your financial worker. Please know that if you still get the housing grant allotted every month, or if any of your expenses are vendor paid, this still counts against the 60-month time frame. If you decide to opt out of your MFIP case, you will still remain open and continue to work with employment services. Sanctions. Sanctions are imposed when a participant does not comply with their employment plan and program requirements. Sanctions do not have to be in a row and can be non-consecutive months. They do not go away. The first sanction reduces your grant by 10%. The second through sixth sanction reduces your grant by 30%. Childcare assistance closes, rent and utilities may be vendor paid, and support services are not available. Any sanction that is in place after the 6th month will result in a 100% sanction on your MFIP, and your MFIP case will be closed. Non-cooperation with child support results in a 30% sanction for the first occurrence and will close childcare. Sanctions will affect both the cash and food portion of your MFIP grant. How to cure or avoid sanctions. The easiest way to avoid a sanction is to have open communication with your employment specialist. If there is something in your employment plan that is not working or may be unachievable, make sure to communicate that before it becomes a sanction or an issue. Once a sanction is in place, you will need to get in compliance with your employment plan, maintain communication with your employment specialist, and stay in compliance with the plan you agreed upon. After the 6th sanction, you will need to reapply for benefits and develop an employment plan and maintain compliance for 30 days. Sanctions are avoidable, and we are here to assist you with employment and to overcome as many barriers as we can so you can become employed at a livable wage. The best way to avoid a sanction is to maintain open and honest communication with your employment specialist. Available resources. You may have access to different resources. Here are just a few that we have listed. You can ask your employment specialist or financial worker to connect you with your local resource guide. Please note that each county's resource book will vary. If you are looking for low-income housing, you may contact HRA in St. Cloud, or another valuable resource is www.housinglink.org. Head Start is also available to children that are 0 to 5 years of age. This is a free program and helps to get your child ready for kindergarten. Child and teen checkups include shots, hearing, and vision checks. Please refer to your child and teen checkup handout for a complete list of what is available to you. MNsure is Minnesota's healthcare website. You may apply online for healthcare coverage at www.mnsure.org. These tax credits are also available: the Earned Income Credit, Minnesota Working Family Credit, Child Independent Care Credit, Child Tax Credit, K-12 Credit, Homeowner, Renter, Property Tax Credit. Remember to check with a tax professional on which credits are available to you, or you may check the IRS website at www.irs.gov. You can contact your local community action agency and get more information regarding the EAP. www.211.org is a United Way website that can connect you to multiple resources that you might need. If you have a disability, please let your employment specialist know and medical documentation is needed. We have a form that we will provide. Affordable childcare. A benefit of working with your employment specialist is the access to affordable childcare. Childcare assistance is available to you to help you complete the activities that are included in your employment plan. Apply right away if this is something that you might need. Processing time can go slow and may require more documentation, in addition to what you have already turned in for your MFIP application. There is a possible co-pay for families who work or participate in other activities in their employment plan. Contact the county that you reside in for a child care assistance application and a provider list for your area. You may also apply for child care assistance online through ApplyMN. This is applymn.dhs.mn.gov. Parent Aware is a recognized website that provides caregivers the tools needed to find a qualified provider. That website is parentaware.org. Family violence waiver. If there is any type of family violence in the home, or you have any type of concerns, it is important that you communicate this with your employment specialist. Waivers are available to help participants who are unable to complete required job search activities due to safety concerns. Your safety and security is very important to us. Please ask your employment specialist for information on where the community shelters are and if there are any other services or resources available to help with family violence and your safety. Your employment plan may include hours you are already working, job search activities, meetings such as the ones listed below, as well as turning in weekly activity logs. You will be meeting with an employment specialist and having an employment specialist assigned to you to develop an employment plan that is individualized to your situation. Participants need to have an employment plan created as part of the enrollment in the MFIP program, but again, this employment plan can be changed and is a living document. It will be changed as your situation changes. That could mean that your work hours are increased or you obtain a new full-time position. But again, everyone will have an employment plan well enrolled on the MFIP program. Work always pays. Grants for working families are calculated from a higher standard than those for families that do not work. An ongoing disregard of the first $65 of earned income per wage earner, plus half of the remaining earned income of the family's gross earned income, is disregarded as well. This helps to cover work-related expenses and increase net income. Transitional year childcare and healthcare are available for up to 1 year after you become ineligible for MFIP because of increased earnings. That is the goal. Families that still meet the income guidelines at the end of the transition year childcare may be eligible for basic sliding fee childcare assistance. Work always pays. As mentioned in the previous slide, this is a nice chart depicting a family size of 3 and how their income is taken into effect with their MFIP grant. You want your family to have more money to live on, and MFIP helps that happen. As you earn more income, here's how much your total family income could be. Again, this is for a family size of 3. The Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, which is SNAP, which is food support, benefits may be available when your MFIP closes. The 60-month clock does not stop if you receive the housing grant. You can choose to opt out of all cash, including the housing grant, if you want the clock to stop. When you start working, your income will affect your MFIP grant. If you start a job on the 1st of January and have earned income anytime during that month, your grant will be reduced in the month of March. This is the typical 2-month time frame for when income changes affect benefits. Every month there will be a household report form that are due on the 8th of the following month. For example, January income is reported by the 8th of February on that household report form. One benefit of reporting like this is if you have a significant change in income, you have time to contact your financial worker and make any changes if needed, or opt out of cash for that month. Education options. There are opportunities for 18 and 19-year-olds that have not completed high school and want to get their diploma or GED. If you do not currently have a high school diploma or GED, attending classes and studying can be included in your plan and count towards your 35 hours needed. Education may be in your employment plan. The training must be approved by your employment specialist before being added to your employment plan for the hours to count towards your weekly participation and to be used for hours you are in need of childcare assistance for the training. Verification of registration and a class schedule are needed to add education to your employment plan. Please refer to the Education and Training in MFIP brochure for further information. Work experience. After 6 to 8 weeks of job search and you haven't found a job, we may work together to find a work experience to assist you in moving forward. Work experience helps build job skills, experience, and work history. Activity logs. Let's review the activity log. First and foremost, make sure that you include your name and the dates of the week that you're tracking. Detail is so important with your activity logs. The more, the better. Activity logs are due every week on Monday, typically by 4:30. They can be turned in via email, dropped off, or even taking the picture with your smartphone and sending it in a text format works as well. Please provide one verification weekly with your activity log. This verification can be one of those email correspondence you get back when you send in an application and it says, "Thanks, we received your application, we will be in touch." It can be a business card, it can be email communication from an actual employer that you've spoken to, just some type of verification stating that you have actually applied for a position or interviewed or had a mock interview, anything like that works for verification. We typically ask that you job search and or do approved activities at least 35 hours per week. Many people have asked how to do this. The following slides will go over how you can get 35 hours done in a week and how to fill out the activity logs. Please make sure if you have any questions on how to fill out the logs that you ask your employment specialist right away. This is the weekly activity log. As you can see on the top portion of the activity log, there's a name section, so you'll want to print your name in the participant name box. And then if you know your employment specialist's name, you can put that there as well. Important part to fill out is the dates. Our logs run Sunday through Saturday, so that gives you 7 days a week to get your activity completed. Some people use all 7 days, some people do it all in 5 days, so it's really your preference, but it does run Sunday through Saturday. You'll see there's a date column, time spent column, activity or / position of interest, employer / contact information, purpose of contact, and result. The big part on this is to be very detailed. So obviously in the date, you're going to list your date that you were doing that certain activity. The time spent, list actual time spent. Some applications may take a half hour to fill out, some may take 4 hours. So list actual time spent. Activity or position of interest, that kind of is pretty self-explained. What activity you're doing, that could be working on a resume, or that could be, say, a mechanic position. And then employer and contact information. If it, for example, is that mechanic position, you would list what the employer is and maybe an email or phone number. And then purpose of contact is typically going to be employment, or it could be interview, and the result is the result of that contact. And you could put still waiting to hear back, or if it were an interview, you can put waiting to hear back on second interview, whatever the result of that contact is. You can also document travel time. Travel time we don't see documented quite as much as I think it probably could be. So, for example, your first point of contact from home, so say you come here, so from home to here you wouldn't count that activity or that time, because that's like from home for me to come to work, I don't get paid for that time. But say from here, you meet with your employment specialist and then you go over to Cornerstone Auto to apply for a mechanic position. That time, that travel time in there, that could be 10 minutes, you could track. Or say you come here to print out your resumes on resume paper, and then you're heading to an interview in, say, Eden Prairie, you can count that travel time. So your distance from home to your first point of contact is not counted, but your from there throughout your day before you go home can be counted. So that sometimes can get tricky, but if you have any questions about that travel time, definitely ask your employment specialist. Again, if you're documenting 40 hours per week or 35 hours per week of activity, you'll probably need more than one activity log. And then just, be clear and detailed as you can so we can read it. This is the back of the activity log. On the top section, you'll see there is an example. That's a really nice example of what it would look like to be documenting job search. In this section on the left-hand side, it says on-site activity. This is where you could document your time spent if you're, say, here at the Career Force in the Career Lab, working on a computer, or if you're meeting with your employment specialist one-on-one, attending orientation or overview. That can all go on the on-site activity. You can document less when you're on site. Less detail is what's needed. You're going to want to look in the last box on the left-hand side. It says participant job search certification statements. This is just saying that you are being truthful in your log, and this is what you've done for the week. And then you want to make sure that you sign that log. If the logs aren't signed, we're going to send them back to you. So you want to make sure that that log is signed. On that right side, you'll see that says for agency use only. That's for your employment specialist to add up your hours and the activity that you've done. But again, that's the front and back of a weekly activity log. A lot of people have questions about their logs, and you just ask. We'll let you know if you're not doing something correctly or if we need more detail to justify the job search that you're doing or the activity that you're doing. How to complete 35 hours. Sometimes when we say, oh, you need to do 35 hours of job search, people are like, holy cow, that's a lot. How am I going to complete that? There are numerous ways that you can reach 35 hours per week for your activity. It could be from the hours you are working. If you already have employment, say you're working part-time and you work 20 hours a week, you'd make up the difference then. If you are looking for job leads, track the amount of time spent and make sure to list the results of your efforts. You can count the actual time for filling out applications. If you have been interviewed, track that amount of time as well. Any follow-up calls or time spent sending thank you letters. If you update or create a resume, make sure to track the amount of time spent on those activities. You can attend to job clubs and document 2 hours per job club that you attend. If you feel at any time that you are having trouble meeting the 35-hour requirement, please contact your employment specialist because we want to make sure that it's not interfering with your compliance. Required forms. You will receive a copy of the Notice of Privacy Practices. This explains your rights regarding private information as well as when and whom we may share this information with. It also provides contact information if you believe your rights have been violated. You will also receive a copy of the Employment Services, Responsibilities, Rights, and Consent form. This gives a summary of job seekers' rights, obligations, data privacy information, and how to file a complaint. You will need to schedule a time to come in and meet with your employment specialist, create an employment plan, and at this time you will sign all necessary forms and get hard copies of any forms. There will be forms that will need a signature and date: the application assessment, employability assessment, rights and responsibilities, overview agenda sign-off, and the employment information release form, as well as your employment plan.
Again, just to recap, you will be scheduled for an appointment with your employment specialist to get you enrolled and create that employment plan that was discussed in the previous slides. For now, it'll be helpful if you want to write down any questions that you may have after watching this, so that you and your employment specialist are both on the same page. For now, that is the information we have, and we look forward to working with you. Thank you.